Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. It's been 2 weeks. It sure has flown by pretty fast, I feel like, but here we are again. How's it going, Eileen?
It's going great. Feels like a week has gone by, right?
Yep. Pretty good reception with the PMH Atwater video.
Oh, yeah, that was it's like once the interview warmed up, that was like three friends sitting around a coffee table
Yeah,
chatting, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
So, I learned a lot from her that I didn't learn in her books that came out during the interview.
Yeah, that was one of the things that surprised me,
Yeah.
was that the people who had a religious figure already in some of her previous books would see that religious figure.
Yeah.
But those who didn't have one got Jesus. Why is that?
Isn't that amazing? I just think I couldn't believe it. Um, Maybe that Christ consciousness is the kind of over or underlaying in the grid of Earth. So, regardless of your religion, if you don't have a religious figure,
Yeah.
um, maybe Jesus shows up.
You know what? He's kind of the, although the different religions have a different view of Jesus, and, some think of him as a teacher, he's highly respected in all religions. Where, Christians might not be as accepting of, say, Muhammad as much, but, the other way around, you'll find that Muslims are, although they view him as a prophet or a teacher, they respect Jesus, you know.
Yeah, plus it might be he's also a little bit more well known than Buddha or Krishna or Confucius.
That's true. So it's more in the collective consciousness, perhaps, maybe, or
Yeah, I was thinking, but I can't say that because we're in the West, but in the East, there's more Buddhists in the world, aren't there?
yeah,
So it's maybe just that we don't know who their figure is because we're not communicating with billions. We're only communicating on the internet with Westerners who speak English.
yeah, that's true.
So maybe we don't know. And maybe her studies are they're all in English. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
there you
maybe that
go.
helps to, like, if we asked a couple of billion Buddhists, they would say, "Who's Jesus? We saw
Right,
Buddha."
right, exactly. So she said it was what who was it that saw the Jesus figure? Was it voodoo or wait, what was it
It
again?
was a voodoo, a person raised in voodoo
Okay,
who
so
didn't practice voodoo,
they
but
don't have
that's
a
all they knew. But I thought, but see, she's not here for us to ask. Isn't there like a blend of Christianity in with some of the tribal religions taking place in the islands, which became voodoo? Or am I thinking of something else? They call that something else.
yeah, I can't be sure
I
myself.
can't either, unless
When
I
I
look
think of
really
voodoo,
up.
I think of the voodoo dolls with the little pins in them. That's about all I know. To be honest, completely 100% honest. That's all I know.
Yeah, me
Voodoo
too, because of
dolls.
the movies. But maybe there's
Yeah,
a whole religion of it down there with
yeah,
medicine men and medicine women.
yeah, exactly. So I got a fun little my viewer friend Micah from Finland. Whoops, wrong button there. I want to share my screen with you. So
Cool.
this is hot off the press, you guys. So let's see here. Okay, does this Hard Rock Cafe logo look strange? Is it missing anything that you guys remember?
The guitar.
Oh, I
There's
guess
a
some of them do have
was
like a guitar behind it. Yeah, that's
Yeah, didn't it
true.
have a guitar like in line drawing with strings going down the middle of it? I
Oh
don't
my
know. I
gosh, I
could be
don't see
making
any
that
like
up.
that either. Oh, like this one kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, more of an outline where the circle is. That's interesting. But I'm talking about letter wise. Is there
Okay, letter
anything?
wise.
Excuse me.
I don't know. What are we getting in the chat? Anything, guys? It looks
Is there an accent or a parentheses or not a parentheses, but an
a
accent
dash.
or an apostrophe accent sort of anywhere that you guys remember in there?
Was it on the end of the cafe where the
Yeah,
E is?
yeah, exactly. Do you remember one being there?
All I know is that the ones you're showing me look naked. They look
Yeah.
barren, like they're really missing something. But I
Yeah.
can't put my finger on what they're missing, but they don't look right.
Yep.
That's like
That's
somebody
weird
did
how.
half of it.
Now I'm so glad Micah sent this to me because he says he walks by one all the time, and he says it just happened because
Oh my
he walks by
gosh.
one all the time. He would notice, and he noticed it right away because it looked naked, like you're saying.
It looks
It
naked.
stood out. Yeah, just stood out to him. So there used to be a little accent for, and I asked everyone, I'm like, do you guys remember an accent over the E of cafe? And everybody I asked so far said yes, they do. So
Okay.
then he sent me some interesting residue. If you actually look at their LinkedIn page here, you can see where they've written it below.
There it is,
It has it where they wrote it, but not in the logo.
but not in the logo.
So he
So
thinks it just changed like
so
within the week and they
if
haven't
you
gone
just
through and
if you just Google Hard Rock Cafe, you'll probably see it both ways in the listing now.
well,
So
I've put Heart Rock Cafe logo history. So I was hoping to see like over the years what they've put out, and I can't find any with an apostrophe.
it's completely
So
gone, huh?
yeah, I can't find any at all. That's actually the logo. I can only find it in writing, like what he sent, where they've written it out in an article or in a maybe a newspaper article, that sort of thing. You'll see that's funny how the R, R's have been extending, but it's like covering up where the little accent used to
The
be.
R is covering up where the accent would go on that photograph.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And here again, it's so close you couldn't even fit. But it helps it like not look naked, doesn't it? That's one of the things
Yeah,
you'll
it does. It
notice.
helps to fill the space.
Yeah, like here, look at that. That's really, I'd say
Oh,
the
wait, I
R's
get it.
extended.
Where you're pointing, it looks like the R blended in with
Yeah.
the umlaut. No, what's it called? That's not an umlaut. What's that little tick called above the E?
Uh,
Somebody who studies languages.
Apostrophe or accent mark.
Accent. So it looks like the R blended in with the accent. Like, see the
Yeah.
R where it's curved? That
Yeah.
probably was the accent.
Yeah, exactly. But it should be white like the cafe because it went with the cafe. So,
Exactly. And nothing else. Oh, yeah, the K's doing that too.
yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, can you go up in the top and just put in Hard Rock Cafe and then web where it says instead of images? Which one are
Oh,
you
sure,
using? Do you
sure.
use Google?
Where I hit all like
Yeah,
this. There it is. It doesn't have it in the
it
description.
doesn't. So go to Wikipedia won't have it in the description either, then will it?
What's Logopedia or something like that that you can enter?
Logopedia. But as Gems pointed out, Logopedia is run by Wikipedia, and we know how much they change Wikipedia
Yeah.
by eliminating people that we follow, like Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
So
So I
there it
don't
is,
see it.
Hard Rock Logopedia. If you just, I guess, hit that.
Okay.
I think it was the one above it.
Oh, was it? Let me go
Yeah,
back.
one more up. There you go. Okay, is exactly what you're looking at now. So according to Logopedia, it never had the accent above the E.
Interesting.
Good for him.
Yeah, when he noticed it, I'm like, You got one. This is one for
You
me
got
for
one.
sure." Because I remember, the little accent on there.
Oh, for sure. Now it's interesting. I did actually see you. You guys can tell me what you think it is. So Shane, I either saw a Mandela effect in the process of changing, or I saw AI active online and
Mm-hmm.
changing something to the way it is now remembered. Because I think I might have mentioned this to you before. I just was searching for any residue of Grand Central Station. I really wanted to find Grand Central Station. It's really hard to find.
Yeah.
And I found one, and it was a tour guide in New York. A tour company was offering day tours to Grand Central Station. And I clicked on it on my phone, and right before my eyes, the wording on the phone changed from Grand Central Station to Grand Central Terminal right in front of my eyes.
Oh, see in the web. site's always been that. Let's see, you can put quotation marks around, and sometimes it'll bring up
You think
stuff.
that'll help? Yeah, it should, right?
And then it'll say, "Are you sure?" Show where is it at? No, no, it's just completely ignoring what I
It's
typed in
completely gone. You know where they'll find the residue? Like Teresa and those guys are so good at residue hunting, is
Yeah,
in old newspapers that have been put up online somewhere.
yeah,
Like that's where all the J.C. Penney ads are, right? With the spelling the way we remember it. It's in all those old newspapers, old
yeah,
menus.
yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, I think I saw it at the bottom. If you go back down to the bottom, all the way, stop there, and it says Grand Central Station trains and Grand Central Station history. So
Let's open that in a new
those
tab.
all have station,
But not once you get here, you
but not
see.
once you get there. Oh, I see it.
What?
It's there. The history of New York City's Grand Central Station. It's on Trip Savvy. Do you see that? Can you see
Trip
that?
Savvy. Right
Yeah.
here?
Read that. That says Grand Central Station. That's what I hit on my phone. Just read the blue.
Oh, right, right. Okay, yeah, I
See?
was looking at the paragraph there.
And then I hit the blue and it turned to terminal.
Wow.
But you see, there's some residue right there. If you want to
Yeah.
take a picture of that, that's great residue. It says Grand Central Station, Trip Savvy, and that shouldn't be there. If it's always been Grand Central Terminal, then that shouldn't be listed that way.
There. Exactly.
Yeah, we got residue of Grand Central Station, but not of Hard Rock Cafe with the accent on the E.
So 10 places. Grand Central Station
Oh
by
my
natives.
God. Get pictures. Quick, everybody, before this disappears.
Right. People are going to be watching this later. It doesn't say station. What are they talking about?
What are they talking about? IC Terminal. What are they talking about? Look, you really got it. Oh, here. This is the explanation of the Mandela Effect. Often called Grand Central Station by natives. See, they've already given a reason for the Mandela Effect. Oh, though that is technically the name of the subway station just underneath it. Now, wait a minute. If we have New Yorkers in the room, if the subway below it stops at Grand Central Station and then you go up the stairs into Grand Central Terminal, there's something wrong with that. The subway stop would have been named for the station that it was stopping at.
Right.
Yeah, so that is saying that downstairs in the subway, the station is called Grand Central Station, but when you walk up the stairs, it's Grand Central Terminal. You know what else is weird? The way they're cutting off station and terminal, and they're going, the history of the Grand Central.
Right.
A new beginning for Grand Central. Walking tour of Grand Central. Doesn't that sound weird?
Yeah. That's really wild.
It is the name of the station just underneath it. I consider that proof that it used to be Grand Central Station above as well, because nobody would have
hidden
named.
secrets.
Huh?
Grand Central's hidden secrets. It used to be really called Grand Central Station until the Mandela Effect happened.
That's crazy.
Okay, let's see. April says, I sent you 2 pictures. Let's see,
To me or to you? Because you can look them up now while we're live.
Yeah, I have this old glass from a yard sale. Yeah, no cafe on it. I'm looking at the picture she sent. Actually, doesn't even have cafe on it. It's like one of the logos that's strange. Let's see. Okay. I wanted to go and look at images because you can actually, under images now, you can see it engraved into the wall.
Does it have terminal engraved or station
Yeah,
engraved?
it's in rock. Always been that way, you know. Let me.
But below it, they named the stop Grand Central Station. That's odd.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yep. It's like, why would they do that?
By natives.
So I kind of think that the words changing in front of my eyes was not a Mandela effect occurring in front of my eyes, but actually just AI correcting it. Like somehow the internet realized that was wrong.
See, I always feel like it's like
Yeah, look at
saved in
that.
the cache the old way.
It's like what?
It's just saved in the cache of the internet, the sort of
Oh, of
the recent
course.
history the proper way, and then when you access it,
It flips.
it's basically what you're saying, but I don't. It's not like it's hiding it. It's just you really caught
It's
it
just
after it changed, and it was saved
okay.
in there the original way, and then it just auto corrected.
Then it auto corrected in front of my eyes.
Yeah,
I
Grand
kind
Central
of have a
Terminal.
feeling I was looking at the same thing that you just captured a photo of, and that was Trip Savvy Grand Central Station. I kind of think that's what I got to on my phone.
Yeah, there it is though.
So any more? Anybody else have any new Mandela effects down in the chat? I haven't had any new ones.
There it is, like it's always been that way.
I know. That looks so new though. Like sorry. Somebody's at the door.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, Grand Central Terminal. That's a trip. I didn't really, like, I didn't pay attention to it while I was there or anything, but, I've always remembered it being Grand Central. Who knows, I'm going to exit out. Wait, before you exit out, subscribe. Okay, let's see here. So, yeah, Heart Rock Cafe. Here we go. Coming back. All right, here we are. Are we?
They're still at the door.
Oh, okay, no problem.
This is the joy of living in one big room. Dogs, pizza, delivery, kids. Any others though? I haven't had any Mandela effects lately at all, except the scarecrow came back into the Wizard of Oz with the gun because they showed me the pictures of the scarecrow with the gun. I went and looked at what we had available, like on Prime or something, or Voodoo or Voodoo or Netflix, and I couldn't find the gun. And then I put that in a comment, and I went back and watched it again, and the scarecrow is there with the gun at the last scene when they're storming the witch's castle and they're going to rescue Dorothy and the dog. There's Scarecrow holding a gun. So that one for me is flipping and flopping for me personally.
Yeah.
For
See,
other
Kelly
people,
told me about one I didn't know. I didn't know Tidy Cat had turned back into Tidy Cats.
oh, so
Do
that
you
one,
remember it changing from Tidy Cats to
I don't
Tidy
have a
Cat?
cat, but I
Yeah,
learned
me
of
neither.
that through Jacob Israel. He came on and went, "What?" And he said he had tidy cat litter in his closet that he said was supposed to be tidy cats. And then 2 weeks later, he opened it up and it was tidy cats again. So he had the flip flop in his closet.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
that's cool.
I
That
love
was
the
years
flip
ago.
flops.
Yeah.
The flip flops are so mind blowing to me, because it's like you really took the time to think about it the first time before,
Yeah. You're like, maybe
and then
I'm
you're not
wrong.
real sure about it. You're like, I don't know. I can't be 100% sure. And then it
And
switches back
you're like,
after you've thought about it so
see,
long.
see, yours was Houston. Houston, I've got a problem. Houston, I've had a problem.
Right? Yeah.
Or we've got a problem.
Houston,
Houston.
we have a problem, or Houston, we've had a problem. And I came across it on Houston, we've had a problem. And I thought so long about it. And I'm reading these blogs, and they're like, no, it's always Houston, we've had a problem. And then when it flip flopped back, those blogs didn't go away.
They
How
didn't.
did that?
Have they flipped now? Because now they wouldn't make any sense.
They don't make any sense now. It's
They don't
actually
make any
pretty. You've
sense.
got people that's sitting there saying it's always been Houston, we've had a problem. Yet it's not Houston, we've had a problem anymore. It went back. So they're
That
like
would be perfect
arguing.
for waking them up. You go, "Are you sure? Are you sure it's always been that?" And then, of course, you'd show them the way it is now, and they'd
Yeah.
probably go, "Oh, I got it wrong. I must have just been confused."
Yeah. It's just a typo. I meant, yeah.
I guess once you truly believe that matter is not permanent, everything's okay again. Not everything in the world, but the whole matrix reality thing does not freak you out anymore because you accept that nothing is permanent.
Right. Still flips you out though when you see it happen. Or you're
When you
like,
see a good
what?
one.
What?
Yeah, when you see a good one.
When I see one that's happened real recent, that's the one that gets me. Like when you just looked at something and now it's changed within a matter of days from when you saw it. That really gets you. Even now, like I mentioned the singer Anastasia, her SIA at the end turned to
Oh yeah.
CIA, and
I heard that you were talking with, I always say Jerry, it's not Jerry.
it was Kelly.
Kelly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got to meet him that night. He came on the show. Yeah, I heard that. And then, no, it wasn't. Gotcha. It was with Kelly. It was in the
not
love
Carrie.
stream.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
in the
yeah.
love stream. I listened to both probably back to back.
Right,
So I
right.
got their names mixed up. But, and then you started saying CIA. And then I started going, maybe there's a message in there somewhere.
Right. I thought that the first time. I'm like, CIA? Are they trying to bring attention to CIA?
SIA, CIA.
Right.
I don't even know if you're allowed to say that. Boom. We've put a flag up right now just by saying it.
Three-letter agencies.
Some other people are starting to get into mud floods, and they've got like bigger channels, like a couple of 100,000 viewers. Like, we like it. What's it? The Bright Side? Is that what it's called? He does one video a month. Might have 500,000 viewers.
Remote viewing guy?
Bright Side. His name's Bright Side, I think. And every now and then we air bits of his videos.
Okay.
He is freaking out about Tartaria.
Oh, really?
He's like, he's not in our community. He's not Mandela affected or anything like that. But he's just a researcher of history and he loves it. And he's like, you guys are not going to believe this video that I'm working on right now. It's going to blow your mind about this ancient, huge civilization that owned most of the earth that we've never heard about. So I'm really excited that some of our topics are now starting to seep into mainstream.
Yeah.
You're going mainstream, you know?
Do you feel like that's a Mandela effect? Because it sure came out of nowhere for me, but I don't.
One of two things. Either it happened and they hid it from us
And now
and
it's coming
nobody
to
knew
light.
about it,
Right.
or it just, how do we know? It could be a Mandela effect. It could have just occurred, that history.
Well, does it appear? I don't know. Has anyone here? Let's find out if what craziness in action, CIA.
I like that. Craziness.
Has anyone here remembered the whole idea of was it Tartaria, Tartary, or
Both words. It was called ancient Tartary, and it's called the Empire of Tartaria. So I
okay?
guess they spoke Tartarian. They lived in Tartary, and
And
they
they
were
like lots of tartar sauce on their fish sandwich, right? I heard that's where tartar sauce came
That's
from.
where tartar sauce came from.
So we
So
got
that
one
freaks you
surviving
out.
thing: tartar on our teeth, and tartar sauce is all
And
the only thing that
I
survived
was
from this
thinking
place.
tartar sauce on my fish. Yeah, I wasn't
Right.
thinking of the tartar on my teeth.
Right. Maybe that's when dentists were invented. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
exactly.
But let's see. There are CIA documents. All right, that show Tartaria was erased from history.
Yeah, maybe it existed and was erased, or maybe it's a Mandela effect and it's a new history. I mean, who knows? How can you ever prove what it was before it became?
It
You
was a
know, it's
total
like,
cover up. So that's what I'm wondering. I mean, is it like has it always really been there, or is it just now being exposed? But supposedly has always been there. Do you know what I'm
it has
saying? Like,
nothing
does
to
it?
do with mud floods. I know a lot of people say Tartaria and mud floods and Tartaria, but the mud floods are being put forward in the 1850s, and Tartaria ruled from all of Asia and all of Europe, right? And
In the
North
BC though, right?
America, Canada, for hundreds of years. So it's not a mud flood thing. But they're saying the ancient Tartarian buildings are those giant, ginormous ones that we could never build today, even that they look like they've been mud flooded,
Uh,
like in the 1850s.
okay, so when did Tartary supposedly come from? What era are we looking?
I read about the history of it like almost a year ago. So I'm going to be a bit vague with retaining the exact facts. But it came from the Russian slopes of between Russia and Europe. And there was Black Tartary, White Tartary, and some other Tartary. And they were tribes. And they decided, like, this would be, it's recent history. This would be like 1500, maybe 1400. They decided, let's all live in peace and work together. So they joined together and they made this massive country of Tartary. And then they expanded and they went and got all of China and all of Asia and they got all of Europe and all of North America. That's almost the world on the northern. Yeah, they
Right.
didn't get South America, they didn't get Africa, they didn't get Australia. They didn't go south. But they owned the whole, if you believe in a circle, in a globe, they owned the whole top of the world.
Or the
And
center of the pie, basically.
yeah, and if it was flat, they would, or what, that would be the center, right? They'd
Right.
own the whole
Yeah.
center if it was flat. So nobody knows of them in terms of
So 1600ish, they're
what
saying in
happened to them.
the. Okay.
They were there for at least 300 years. So 15, 16, 17, or 14, 15, 16. We didn't learn about them
Okay.
in our
So
history.
supposedly all of what we know of is biblical history with world powers and Babylon and Persia and all these huge
Yeah,
territories up there.
Sumerians,
It sounds
Hittites.
like this actually dwarfs any of those original
Yeah,
world powers that we know about. It's like it includes them and more, right?
and more. So it's almost like the modern Christians came out of the area of what is today Israel
Right.
and expanded through Egypt up into Europe. But it sounds like they displaced a much bigger empire than
Wow.
what we knew. We never learned of the original huge empire that ruled. But no, because that's different timing. That would be the 2000 years ago, and Tartary was supposedly 500 years ago. So it's hard to understand how our history is missing Tartary, because that would be 1500 years after the expansion of Christianity.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, that's strange.
It seemed like this whole time I've been thinking all of that was supposedly before any of that, like
Yeah, like
pre-Bible stuff even.
ancient, like
It's
Egyptian and
easier to believe
Sumerian.
you could pull something off like that, but you're talking just a few hundred years ago.
500
This
years ago.
That's like pretty impressive.
They ruled for 300 years and they were erased from our history. That's what everybody thinks. Because most people aren't Mandela affected, so they think they were erased from our history books. That's possible, right?
Jamba saying Tartaria had Kit Kats with hyphens in them.
And Coca-Cola's without a hyphen.
Right.
I'm
And the-
still looking for that residue without the hyphen, and they just squeeze it into a line. It's still there.
yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
That's pretty funny.
And even the dash, or the little accent things like a little dash that kind of just came out of the cafe. I wonder what else might get a little hyphen or accent mark above it
But
now.
do you find a message in those? I don't. I see a lot of little changes, and I don't read a message. Do you? In the little ones?
Hmm. You can see a dash is bringing together or connecting, like the merging or
True.
extending, expanding consciousness when I see the expanding letters or merging into oneness when I see stuff merging,
We see letters
Or when
squishing
I see the
together.
S's leave or come onto something, I think of it like possession, like instead of it being Sally's beauty supply, it's just Sally beauty supply, and the possession of it belongs to everyone. You know what I mean?
Or,
Or
yeah,
something
somebody
like,
said going from plural to one,
yeah,
oneness, like the show. The
right,
power of one, when we all get together, we become
yeah.
one power.
And it's the same way if you think of Home Depot or the Home Depot. There's only
Yeah,
one,
there's one. It's not, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess there could be a big message in a very little change if there's a lot of them.
totally, yeah,
I think there's loads of changes that I'm not even noticing. I really do,
yeah,
because I don't pay that much attention. You have
yeah,
to be pretty much aware of your surroundings at all times to notice all the changes.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm always impressed. Like the fact that he found this Hard Rock Cafe so quick to when it changed,
But
you have to
did you
really be
just
paying
pull up the
attention.
residue? We did see a little, we
Yeah,
saw something with the,
with the
with,
accent.
yeah, with the
Yeah,
accent.
so if you look at their LinkedIn page
That's it.
where they've typed it up, it's got it in there. You got the logo, never had it. That makes no sense.
But you see,
Companies are
a
really
person
specific,
in the company typed it up in LinkedIn,
right?
and that person is Mandela affected and is remembering it correctly
Right?
and
Or
isn't
they
looking
did
at
it
the
off
logo
of, yep, they did it off of memory,
off
and
memory.
yeah. So yeah,
Interesting.
so they'll have to get back in there and fix it.
Or they'll be embarrassed to think, where did I get that? Why did I think there was an accent over the E? Where'd that come from?
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, what happened over the 222? Did you get some good meditation time in? Did you do
Sure
any
did.
out of body traveling? Did you?
Ah, I wish. I wish. No, matter of fact, I'd say since the week since then, I've been feeling really heavy and drained, and
Me too. It just flashed. The screen just flickered. I'm feeling really tired. But you know what? I had a busy week, so I'm not too worried. But you're feeling
yeah,
tired too.
yeah, feeling a little tired, feeling a little drained. Um,
Maybe we
and
got
then,
some download, some good energy that weekend.
yeah, even yesterday I did this long meditation, and I was so dizzy and sleepy when I got done with it. It felt like I got a download just from that. I had to go lay down for like 20 minutes. It's
Yeah,
just,
I'm finding that if I meditate, when I meditated last week, I would just fall asleep
yeah,
in my, wherever I was, sitting up in a chair or, laying down, I would just drift off. And that doesn't always happen. So I just figure we need it. When we get that sleep, we just really need it.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like it's time to integrate something or something along those lines. So
And
I
a
just
lot
go with it.
a lot more people are saying they think that this is a gradual process that's just speeding up now. Like it's getting faster and it's more noticeable and time is going faster and Mandela effects are happening. So everything's picking up momentum, but it's still a process
Yeah.
of getting from here to there. We don't know what it is, but we can feel it and sense it because everybody expects it. And maybe the fact that we all expect it is going to make it happen.
You know what probably is the most okay? So like the third whammy, sort of. So you see the Mandela effect stuff happening, which is a real trip when you know that it's really happening, and then you try to talk to people about it, and the reaction you get are a real trip, right? But you know what?
Definitely.
The third wave of I just can't believe this is. I can't believe how many people haven't heard of it. How many people have just? Why isn't it? You would think it would spread so much faster than what it's spreading. But there's still people that's never heard of it, like Mandela Effect. No, I've never heard of that.
I think those people are not online and they're not on YouTube. I really do because, or Facebook is loaded with Mandela effect groups. Have you seen? And
Yeah,
Reddit is, and Twitter a little bit,
yeah,
YouTube a lot. So maybe the people that say, I've never heard of it, what are you talking about? They're never online. Maybe they only put their TV on and watch mainstream programming. That's never going to, I mean, it's kind of touching on it. Like on Netflix, there's so many programs with timeline jumping, but they don't call it Mandela effect.
right.
You notice that?
Yeah,
Lots of timeline jumping shows. Some of them from Spain and Portugal and Israel and different countries, and they dub them over. And they
yeah,
sound pretty good, but you can tell that it's a dubbed voice.
yeah. And they've just come back with Altered Carbon. That's the
Yeah, are you going to watch
show.
that? Have you seen it?
I saw the first season, so I have to. The new season just came out, so I need to
Dolly
check that out.
Daydream alerted me to that, and she did a couple of shows, a couple of videos on it today, and I said that's one that I've always considered watching. Would you recommend it? Is it really good?
It's good to think outside the box like that, and it's good that they're like really starting to get it into the collective consciousness that our consciousness is a separate thing from our body, or what they call a sleeve in the show. They call your body your sleeve, and you can trade your sleeve in for a new
Oh,
one. And there's
okay.
this little chip in the back of your neck or something that goes in there, and it's got your memories and everything on it, and you can pop it out of there and put it in another body. So it's like really making the distinction between the fact that you aren't your body.
Nice.
And
That's
I
good.
love that
Yeah,
because that's getting it
that's
into
good.
the collective consciousness. And there's a lot of shows like that, where
That's awesome.
alternate timelines and things like that, or
Oh yeah, yeah,
that your
like
consciousness,
Travelers. You are not your
exactly.
body because they put the consciousness of someone
Yeah,
in the future in a body now.
right. So I see it all as working towards good, even if it's maybe not a totally good message in the whole thing, like trying to live forever and these what they call stacks. That's the thing that they download your consciousness onto, that you just
Is it
live
in
on
a
forever.
computer
And
though? Everything we imagine now goes back to a computer, I've noticed.
I think this is more like, I don't know, this sort of gel looking chip thing, that's It glows blue, like like your consciousness makes it glow. And if the chip's damaged or goes out, it either turns red or blanks out, and then you die for real,
Oh, for real, for real. They've lost your consciousness.
Right,
I think that human consciousness, wherever we come from, is so much bigger and more powerful than anything we could imagine hijacking it, taking
right,
it over, holding it,
right,
collecting it, and holding it in a vessel.
yeah. But they have the whole idea, where you can also back up your consciousness at a certain point.
Oh my God.
So you back your say, and that's of course just the elite have that ability to back themselves up in case something gets damaged in their stack. They can at least be spun back up from the last save.
Oh my
So so
God. Is that an
so if you're
altered carbon? That's so cool.
right, so if you're like an elite person, right, and somebody really wants you dead, and you save yourself every night, you back yourself up onto the cloud or whatever. If someone does take out your sleeve, your body, and your stack, your little chip with your consciousness in it, then they can at least bring you back from your last save, right? So you won't even know who killed you or anything because it's just
You can't remember it because you didn't experience it. The last
right.
backup didn't get that far.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. I think I might have to watch this series.
So it's a cool way of like just thinking outside the box with it and everything, and just to I don't know, it's just a neat perspective. I always appreciate alternate perspectives and stuff like that.
Well, I was giving myself some alternate perspectives today because when I see auto checkouts, my reaction as an old folk here, right, is don't use it because you're taking jobs away from people. And there's so few jobs right now that people can get because we don't manufacture anything and ship it anywhere. So really it is retail and hotels and restaurants and stuff like that because so few of the elite actually get into banking and trading stocks and stuff. There's not room for everybody.
Right.
And a few get into medicine, but that takes a lot of money. You have to have enough money to get you through college to get into a medical profession. So the masses are stuck here and they're taking away jobs from the masses because they put a machine in to take the place of 3 employees. And they
Right.
don't have to pay the machine sick pay, vacation pay, maternity pay, social security, nothing. And then I'm thinking, what if that's wrong? What if the machines coming in and being used for those kinds of things actually leads to something really good for humanity? And here I am like fighting against it because I think it's taking jobs away in the short term. But what if in the long term it appears to be a bad thing, but in the long term it's great. It
Yeah,
has
it
a great
frees people
outcome.
up for leisure and like what if everything was automated at some point and it wasn't all about money, making money or having a job or whatever, then all of a
Exactly.
sudden then we've actually moved towards being freed up to have more time to work on spirituality or
Exactly. But
self-development
of
or
course, with the current ruling elite, the way they do things, I'm thinking then they don't need people around and it'll be cull. It'll be cull season so that there's only ruling elite here, served
right.
by machines. That
Right.
they're not, so I'm thinking of it as a dark negative
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, there's always two sides of the
But it
coin,
doesn't have to be that way. It can be positive
Right.
with a positive governing system for humanity. Then freeing people up would have a really positive effect. Everybody could study, travel, do art, do music. They'd be freed up.
Yeah. So we're
So,
thinking in terms of someone's losing something, but someone's gaining
yes,
something. Plus, the machines have to be built, so you're sort of switching the jobs from one type to another because someone's still got to make them, and deliver them, and repair them, and set them up, and plus it still takes one person to run four of them, right? So
yeah,
or
yeah, because
more
mostly they break
sometimes.
down. So right
Yeah.
now they've got people standing there trying to get them going again, trying to fix them for people. But
Yeah.
it's just like that, is the glass half full or half empty? And normally I'm a really positive person and very upbeat. Naturally, I don't have to push it.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I don't trust human governing enough to
Right.
allow them to make those changes because I don't trust human government
Yeah.
and banks and
Yeah.
corporations. I'm like, no, no, don't do away with jobs, because then they won't need people anymore.
Yeah.
So I need to get out of that mindset and move beyond negative current situations and think positively for the future without
Yeah.
that negativity going forward. Right?
Yeah, and that's really the issue if you look at it. I mean, we've evolved so much technologically, and we're not really caught up with it as with spirituality. It's
spiritually.
it's like we're ahead of
Oh,
our. That's why we try to think of ways to create weapons out of the technology, because the technology's evolved, and instead of thinking how we can better
mhm.
the world with it, we think of how we can harm others. Well, now I can use this to hurt people, and so it is. It's like the human condition
The human
has to
condition.
catch up with the technology and everything we have, and really, we're probably a good 100 years behind, wouldn't you say? Like what the
Yeah.
technology is. Because if you think about the bomb was what the middle of last century.
You think when Tesla was working with plasma
Yeah,
at the early part of the last century, we've lost
yeah,
100 years.
yeah.
But what's interesting, I thought about that. Not to be negative Nelly today. I hope I'm not insulting anybody with the name Nelly out there. I love the name Nelly. Um, but I was thinking that if they have secreted away free energy, if we ever did get the CME and it knocked out the electricity on half of the world, whatever shape you think it is,
Right,
only half is supposed to get knocked out, and there's supposed to be electricity on the other side of the world, then they'd be able to whip out their free energy and hook everybody up right away,
right. Yep.
right?
There could be a positive to
There
every
could be a
negative. Yeah,
positive side to that.
yeah.
Because I know the black triangles are theirs because all you have to do is look up a search on the internet, TR3B patent, and we own it. America owns it, meaning when I say we, because we're from all over the world now in this community,
Right.
but it's owned. And then when you look up coronavirus patent, it's owned. The actual virus, not a vaccine. The virus itself is owned by a corporation.
It's probably whoever discovers it, right?
I guess. I
Well,
guess, but the discovery is always years before it becomes an epidemic. So my little mind is twisting and turning again, going, well, wait a minute. If
and you
they had a
can't patent something natural either, right? So
exactly,
doesn't
you
that let the
can't
cat out the
patent
bag?
anything
Bag that it's
natural.
it's not completely natural if they're able to patent it.
They have several different patents out there on different strains of coronavirus, but it's all owned by corporations years before it came out in China. And one of them is owned by a Texas firm and a Chinese firm. So as soon as I saw the China connection there, it makes your little truther brain start to spin out stories like, well, what a wonderful thing to do to make money is to develop a virus, release a virus, and then create the vaccine and release the vaccine. And now you're $100 billion richer, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's like the MO of so many different organizations. Here's a problem. Here's our solution
Oh
for this
yeah, they've got a
problem.
name
And
for that. What's that called? Hegelian dialect. Have you heard of that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That means um, problem, chaos, solution. You create the chaos, you create the problem, then you create the solution.
Right. And if you
I don't
think
know.
about religion's kind of that way.
What
I
is?
was just religion in general. Saying like, well, the way I was raised anyway, saying that you're basically been plagued with this terminal illness, sin,
You're a
right?
sinner. Yes.
Come to us and be healed, right?
Come to us and we will save you.
If you think about it, it was like I think it was Alan Watts. I was watching something by him recently, and he goes, "That's really the grimmest of all worldviews." If you think about it,
That
that
is
you
the
can
grimace.
actually be tortured for eternity with no chance for
Redemption.
redemption ever, ever.
And
You know,
maybe who wants to be born a sinner? That sounds really vile. That's like you are born and God hates you. God
you're
made you, but God hates you.
right. And then not to offend anybody, but you got this whole process that's gone through for redemption for yourself, and then it's like you go around and you're like the most horrible news that anybody can tell you is labeled the good news,
Yeah.
right? Which is
The good
you,
news is we've saved you and God loves you now, but God hated you before we saved you.
yeah,
Oh my God, there's so many holes in this religious stuff, not to be offensive to anybody.
yeah.
Why didn't I figure that out before? Why wasn't it obvious?
Well, I think for we're scared. They scare us into not looking any deeper. Don't you go poking around. Even though we got doubting Thomas, and you've got instances where people doubted it and they needed a little bit extra push or
Yep.
convincing, and it was okay for them. But all of a sudden, don't question anything. You're going to get burned for that. And it's like then all of a
Fear.
sudden you're
Fear.
Yeah, it always comes back to the
But
fear.
we're
Yeah.
moving ahead. We're getting there, and I think we're moving ahead more quickly now, which might be part of the reason why we see matter shifting and changing around us. We might be evolving really fast. And
Yeah.
perhaps all of this is some kind of a projection of collective consciousness, and
Yeah.
we're seeing it blink in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that we are now above the matrix because we're seeing how it works. If you're like in the matrix and you're in the computer and you're in the game,
Yeah.
you have no idea there's a programmer and somebody's pushing all the buttons. But if you step out of the game, you're like, what? That's how it works. You push that, and that character does that over there
Yeah.
because you're out of it. So maybe the fact that we see the Mandela effect indicates that our consciousness individually has expanded beyond its current container,
Yeah.
the
The
matrix,
construct. Yep.
the
Exactly.
construct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. That makes me feel good about it all.
Definitely. And with me, that's exactly what it did. It was like, wait a minute, this doesn't fit with how I believe stuff goes, or
Yeah.
works. So it forces you to go back to the chalkboard and say, well, that doesn't work anymore, and that doesn't work anymore. And it really broadened my perspective about stuff,
And we
Like
all freaked out a little. You freaked out a little, didn't you?
yeah.
Didn't you at
In
first?
an exciting, fun way. It was never negative for me because I just came out of my dark night of the soul, so anything was exciting,
Anything
you
was
know.
better than that.
Right, because everything was so mundane. You know what I mean? You know how when it's like, even if something like, an avalanche is coming and you're like, it
At
was
least it's
boring a
something.
moment ago, at least it's some excitement, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, that's so funny. That could explain why we're here as well, and why we're not living in the perfect peace of complete bliss, eternal bliss, because maybe that is heaven, and maybe that is when you're dead from
Yeah,
this life, but
yeah,
alive in another life, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And maybe, like you said, we come here just to challenge ourselves and stretch ourselves.
Yeah, so I had a couple little epiphanies, right? So it's like when you think about, you always need something to contrast anything you're like sort of talking about, right? So you can't even like describe the stars in the sky without the black background, the space
Mhm.
in between, And it's like the one thing that I realize, like God, when you think of God, it seems almost illogical because if you think of God as everything, the thing that of which there is no opposite, right? Like,
Mhm.
of course, religion will tell you, there's a God and then there's a devil and then there's the polarity of it or whatever. But the view I have of God now is like everything is God.
Yeah, me too.
Nothing exists that isn't God,
Me
right?
too.
So you can't really contrast it. You can't show it because you can't divide it from anything
No,
else.
you can't because it's
So
the
it's
sum total.
invisible. It eludes us.
It's everything.
It's everything.
But even God made Satan. He was a fallen angel. So even Satan wasn't God's equal,
Right.
and ever. And yet, if you go into the ancient Egyptian myths and the ancient Sumerian myths, they had a father, mother, God that created the world. And the first male who created the world without any female input. What year was that? Was like 900. Remember, we talked about that on one of the shows. It was quite telling that it came into Hebrew, Christian, and Islamic views.
Yeah.
It's not in Sumerian, it's not in ancient Egypt or Greece or ancient Rome or ancient Norse. All of the ancient myths have a creator male and a creator female god, creator
Right.
mother, creator father.
And I typically think of what we call God, in religion anyway, God and the devil as being opposites when you think of the whole Enlil and Enki. I like the
The
Sumerian
brothers,
view
the
of
good
it, the
brother, the
brothers.
bad brother.
Yeah, and they both got their own agenda, but one is more about knowledge and sort of
Yep.
helping us, and then the other one's more about dominating and war, and and I
Slavery.
exactly, and I love the work of Matthew Lacroix where he does the eagle and the serpent, and you can follow
I've
all
heard of
the,
that.
the
I've never read it.
right. So you can follow all of the leaders, all the different countries, those that use the eagle and those that use some type of serpent, their
Oh,
plumed
interesting.
serpent.
Because it's the East that has the serpent, right? Starting with
Yeah,
China, Taiwan, and Japan.
yeah,
And we, the West, have the eagle, right? But what does the
yeah.
Middle East have? What does the Middle
Hmm.
East have? Because they used to have two serpents going up a stick with wings,
Right. The
which would you call,
caduceus.
yeah, the caduceus.
Yeah.
Now, one serpent has fallen off, and they've changed it a few years ago now to one stick with no wings and one serpent going up it. It looks really weird. Have you
Yeah.
seen it?
Yeah, and then you've got Mexico that has the eagle with a
Eagle.
serpent in the mouth.
Ah, that's got both. That's kind of
Right.
cool. But
So
in
what
the
he
mouth,
does,
so it's like it's killing it.
right? So if you look up anybody that looks up the eagle and the serpent, Matthew LaCroix, he was on Leak Project, and he shows how you can look throughout all the history. You can see the serpent would come in and spread libraries and knowledge, and then the country with an eagle representing them would come along and destroy the libraries and burn the books.
Oh,
And there's been
like
like this,
Rome destroyed the Egyptian library.
right? Yeah, so you see it
Interesting.
over and over again, and it's like, wow, these brothers are still influencing these world governments through all of this time. So
Thousands and thousands of years.
yeah, and then that made me realize a few of the instances in the Bible that the Bible shows them as the same God returning, right?
Yeah.
Or so like with Abraham killing Isaac or sacrificing Isaac, he says, "Sacrifice your son," and then right before it happens, he comes back or he sends an angel to stop him. How do we know that wasn't Enlil that started the whole thing as sort of bullying on the human?
Uh-huh. And then Enki, who
And
came
then
to
Inky
stop
comes
it.
along and is like, "Why are you doing this? Knock it off." You know, the same thing with the plague. You know, they he gave Yahweh or Jehovah gave the Israelites this plague, and then came back and changed his mind. How do we know Inky didn't come back and say, "Look at the snake up on the pole, and you'll be healed of the plague"? So it's portrayed as the same God returning, but
And
I think
the God is changing its mind.
right,
It's a
which God
wishy-washy
never
God.
changes. Right, He
Yeah.
never changes. God doesn't change His mind. He's
And
Alpha and
God wouldn't
Omega.
tell you
You
to
know,
kill your son, sacrifice your son to me.
right,
No, God wouldn't do that. That had to be something else.
you're right.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Really,
and we'll
really.
make man in our image. I mean, there's little hints at the fact that
And
it's
we
his
make God
brothers.
in our image.
Yeah,
If you go back before 6,000 years ago, we don't have a lot of writing. We don't have written records. And that would be fascinating because if the last big flood 6,500 years ago was the result of crust displacement and turning because the North Pole went down to the equator,
yeah.
made everything move around, right?
Hmm.
Maybe prior to 6,500 years ago, civilization existed at what is now the Arctic. And maybe the Arctic was pyramid building because you can see snow capped pyramids there that
Yeah,
they're saying are mountains. And maybe they got flipped around and buried under snow, and
yeah,
nobody can go there and see it because then you'll know that a previous smart, advanced civilization once lived on the land that is now the Antarctic, buried under snow.
yeah. And one of
So,
the things that go along with that, if the Earth was in the globe model anyway, if the Earth was spinning a certain way, they say that the depth of the water is greater at the equator
yes,
because the water sort of pushes its way to where
we're
the
not
most
around
centrifugal
where a
force is.
football, right?
Right, right. So that force is going out towards the equator. If the equator was in a different place, then you can't just calculate the water displacement normally because wherever it was spinning before is where the water would be the deepest at. So some of the areas, like if you think about the Mediterranean, for instance, it
Yep.
might not have had any water in it, or it might have been a small lake, if it was moved further away from the
Yes.
equator. You know what I mean?
Because
So,
we're it's not even all over. Everything
right.
doesn't have the same amount of water.
Right. So the water's not going to move equally.
No,
It's going to still go out at the equator. So if the equator's somewhere different.
that's what's really changing. It's not the
Yeah.
poles that are changing, it's the equator. If you
Yeah.
think of it that way, because it's when magnetic north gets close enough to the current equator,
Hmm.
something happens to the earth where everything gets shifted around. And it's kind of like a reset. It's called crust displacement theory.
Yeah.
So they found that the magnetic North Pole has been Hawaii, has been Vermont, New York, that area. And this is geologists just digging to see at what point was a piece of land, like, say, Brazil, at the north and magnetic north, where everything was, magnetized. They can see it through magnetic rocks,
Right.
which they're not telling us this because do they really want people to know that there's a reset, a cyclical reset of civilization
Hmm.
every 7,000 years? And if the flood was the last reset, we're only 500 years away, 400 years, 300, 100 years. We might be really close.
Yeah, definitely. And if this is some sort of consciousness simulation reality, some kind of orchestrated play in which we're all playing our parts, which makes a lot of sense in a lot of different respects with, quantum entanglement and a lot of the things that are mysteries now would make sense in sort of
Like
this,
what? I get what you're saying. Like which
like
ones?
like for instance, when we talk about quantum, when you observe uh, the wave and it turns into a particle, like
Hmm.
that whole double slit experiment thing, that fits in with the way games are designed. Like the part of the city in the game that you're in isn't active and bustling and stuff until you get there, and then it looks like it's all bustling and that's part of the whole Mandela Effect movie. They were trying to make it as if everything was being observed at one time and overload the system, right?
Well, that's a great explanation for the glitches in reality, is that the
Right,
system's overloaded by too many observers.
exactly. So if it doesn't need to show the inside of an office building because nobody's in there, and then all of a sudden you trick it into thinking someone's observing it, you need to make it a solid. You need to make there's no more potential. Everything is, at one time. Then you can
It's like
overload the
heating
system.
up, it's overloading.
Right. Or quantum entanglement, where you divide these things, there's space in between, but yet they react instantaneously, beyond the speed of light. They still act as if they're connected. And then the cosmic speed limit being the speed of light, why would we have like a maximum speed?
We shouldn't, because quantum entanglement is instantaneous. It has no speed limit. It can
Right.
happen
But like, I'm talking about
across.
like the Planck length and the speed of light. We've got these constants that make no sense
They
other
don't
than
make sense. They only
they
make
would
sense
make
to our
sense in
little
a
brains.
right, but they would make sense in a simulation. Like this is the frame rate of reality, right?
Right.
Just like
Right.
we
Like
have
a
frame rates
projector.
on
Like the
games.
projector could only play the film so fast.
Right.
And if the
So if
film
all
would be
that's
bigger,
if all that is true, okay, then that means that life is really a lot like all of the parts of us. Think about like us as humans. We only do like maybe 1% of what our body's doing, right? Our body, we blink automatically, our heart beats automatically, we
yep,
even breathe automatically, although
blood
we can take it
flowing.
over. Everything we heal, you don't have to heal yourself. All of
Nope.
this is like automatic. So we're just basically going with the flow. I don't think we need to do anything really, right? We can just be and go with the flow. And it's more like riding a wave rather than trying to control everything. And I think that's, we like to control everything and to sort of let go of that and go with the flow and realize that it's all playing out like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like a really different way of looking at things,
It's a really healthy way of looking at it. It's less stressful, it's less painful,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, there's very little that we actually can control in our day to day operation over matter. But maybe in the long term, we control everything. Maybe all of this is emanating from us, but we just don't know it. Maybe we're the programmers,
Right.
and we don't know it. We don't know we're programming. It just happens around us, right? Matter just happens. And now with the Mandela effect, we're like, well, wait a minute, it's glitching. So it can't just be happening. Something must be behind it,
Right.
right? So
And
I don't know. Fascinating.
yeah, and when you see all the different synchronicities line up and things like that, I think they're all little hints at the fact that maybe it is us controlling it on the higher realms or something.
Our
Maybe
higher
we've,
selves
yeah,
sitting
maybe
up
we've,
there.
yeah, given ourselves amnesia to come and enjoy this whole thing. But we do know that there's life beyond death. That
Oh,
people
yeah,
don't
that's like
really
for
die.
sure.
Yeah,
I have no doubt about that. I think because I died and came back and was resuscitated, I could say hand on heart, I know that there's life after death. But so many in our community have seen other people describe what happened when they flatlined, because I was flatlined,
hmm
and read books like Anita Morjani and PMH Atwater. So I think everybody's convinced now in our community, pretty much, that this is not the end of it. This is not everything.
hmm
There's
Plus, feeling
more.
loved ones that's passed away, feeling their presence at certain times,
Yeah.
or something along those lines. There's been
Getting
those little
messages.
bitty hints that they're gentle, so you can think, well, maybe it was coincidental that I felt them or heard my dad in my head at that moment. Maybe it wasn't really him talking to me at that moment. It's gentle enough that you're not forced to believe. But I'd say most people, especially those who have lost someone, have had some type of thing that at least makes them question whether they're still around, their loved one.
Hmm. Too many
Little sync, yeah,
synchronicities
little
and
signs, and yeah,
messages. You know what I find fascinating historically, if you study the history of religion, that as we know it, we don't know the real history because a lot of that just hasn't been told to us or put into books and
right,
documentaries. But basically, what we've been allowed to study shows that reincarnation is a belief of ancient people and Eastern people. And it's only 2,000 years ago that Western people, not meaning from the Americas or Europe, but starting with Christianity and Judaism and Islam, took reincarnation away.
yeah,
That's when it started 2,000 years ago. So it's a very brief amount of time in the
yeah.
history of the world that a group of people didn't believe, that thought they died forever when their current body died.
Yeah, and Christopher Anatra was the one that pointed out to me that they wanted to snuff out the idea of reincarnation because they didn't want slaves committing suicide. It's like, well, I'm done with this life. I'm just going to
Gosh,
go
I never thought of
kill
that.
myself and go start over somewhere else. Why am I going to stick around here and be treated like this? So it's like
That makes perfect sense.
yeah, it was another way of trying to control the people, thinking that, what better way to escape if you
Well,
can't get out
first
of
of
the
all, they
compound?
tell everybody if you do kill yourself, you go straight to hell forever.
Yeah.
There's no way out of hell if you killed yourself. So that totally sounds like a slavery management program,
Totally.
right?
What are we
Totally.
gonna do? They're all killing themselves. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we'll just tell people to
You guys
burn
can't kill
forever.
yourselves. You go to hell
Yeah,
forever. I'm better than hell. So stick with me. Man,
exactly. Yeah.
crazy.
Let's see here. Yeah, the quantum businessman, Christopher Anatra.
Yeah, he's
For
going to
those.
be speaking at the conference. I did find out that there are, I've heard there's 11 speakers so far. I don't know who they all are yet, but I know they include you and me.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
there's like another 10 that are thinking about it and talking about it. So I mean, it could be anywhere from, 15 to 20 speakers over 3 days. That's
It's gonna be,
huge. That's
yeah, it's gonna be
huge.
awesome. Of course, we're gonna have. Well, hopefully we can get Suso in there. I'd like to see if Suso could do a talk. I think
Yeah,
that'd be
because he
awesome.
wanted to. And I think Jerry's doing one this time.
Yep, Jerry's going to
Dark
do one
Wolf.
this time. Dark
Yep.
Wolf, he's in the chat, I believe. And of
Hey,
course,
Dark Wolf.
Cynthia Sue Larson,
Of
she's going to do a
course, she's the
talk.
keynote.
And then from Gaia TV, we have
Regina Meredith.
Regina Meredith,
Yep,
yeah.
I know. I don't know her, but
Yep,
I've watched a lot of her interviews. She's a
yeah.
great show
Oh, yeah.
interviewer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're gonna have a few people, a few surprises that I'm not sure if they've been confirmed yet. So I won't
It's
mention them now.
growing.
But
It's growing and growing. So when Connecticut, June 5th through 7th,
yep, the first
place to
weekend in
be
June.
place to be determined, right?
Yeah. So we're looking at New Haven. So if anybody wants to sort of make plans, at least you can know the date is solid. So it's
Yeah, they can start like talking about sharing hotel rooms,
5th, 6th,
like we
and
did for
7th.
SETI.
Yeah, exactly.
June 5th, 6th, and 7th in New
So yeah, at
Haven.
least get off work or whatever. Just plan on going up there. There's a lot of people within driving distance up there, so I think
Okay.
we're gonna have a lot more people. If you look at a density map, there's like so many people up there in the northeast of America. I mean,
Oh
it's
God,
like
yeah.
with
Oh,
New
definitely.
York, just New York alone,
That's why they created the evil electoral college. They did
right?
that because everybody lived in one part of the country and they wanted to even it
Yeah,
out.
that's funny. Cubert. Okay, so topics for this evening.
We don't have any. What are you hearing? Any topics, guys?
New Haven, Connecticut. Sorry, there's a lot of New Havens, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just east of. I think it's pretty close to the ocean too. So I plan on. I can't get that close to the ocean and not go check it out. So
Cool.
New Haven,
We just don't know
and
where it is yet in
yeah,
terms of conference facilities.
yep, not really sure. Okay, so topics. Did anybody have any topics?
I'm a little
Any?
sleepy, so it's going to be a really relaxed one. So really get comfortable tonight, guys, because I might even fall asleep doing it.
Let me see.
We did virus, we did viral, we did one on assimilating and
Yeah,
transmuting viruses. We did that one last time we got together.
yeah.
So I feel like we've covered that. Um, What did we talk about tonight that we could do one on? Because when we chit chat, we had no topic tonight to talk about. It just kind of happened on its own.
Yeah, history.
Do you want to do one on understanding the matrix and understanding how it works and our role in it better and better
Yeah,
so that
to
we
be a
get it?
better player inside this game, if
Yeah,
that's
to
indeed what it
understand it
is.
more
Yeah,
intuitively. So we intuitively figure out how all of this works. So
yeah,
we don't have to come back another 1,000 times to figure it out. I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to like end your reincarnation here. That's between you and God. But if we figured out a lot of how it works here, that would shorten our
yeah,
trips here, wouldn't it? And we
yeah.
get to move on and level up if that's what indeed we do.
Peace that surpasses understanding and calmness. These are things you just mentioned that
Yeah,
people
because I'm feeling super calm.
and that helps. That sort of combats any kind of fear going around. So that's even a broader way. Let's see.
How about we combine them and we understand our matrix? So, you guys okay with matrix meaning not just the world, but everything around us? Is that what you use? I mean, some people call it the field,
Yeah,
right? Some people call it 0 point. Some people call it the matrix. I think we're all like, when you hear matrix, do you think computer program? I don't. I just think of existence, the universe.
right. I think of this realm, I guess, when I think of the Matrix.
Okay, I'll use the word realm too, because that's more not computery,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's based in the word real.
This
This.
realm.
Yeah.
Some people call it
What
this
we.
dimension.
Yeah.
Some people still call it this timeline. But I've expanded our little argument in our book that this isn't time travel to timelines. And the way I've done that in my own little head is that if I was physically jumping from one timeline, boop, into another timeline, I wouldn't be dragging any residue with me. Therefore, there wouldn't be any residue of the way it was in my other timeline. That would be safe where it was, not where I am. And the fact that we got residue all over here, logically to me means at some point those timelines were here as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how did the residue from another timeline get into this timeline?
That's why I think of it as like a soup of consciousness instead of,
A line.
like yeah, like leaving one train and going on another train,
And it's a
It
soup.
doesn't fit with a lot of stuff,
That's
you
what
know.
Cynthia said too. She said
Yeah.
the timelines don't fit. It's like more of like an ocean that we're
Yeah.
in.
But that helps with the fear of thinking, okay, if I jump into this timeline, what if this aspect of life is worse? Like, what if the thing I want to get better improves, but something else gets worse, and it kind of gets you in this mode that you have to give a little bit to take a little bit, and
You mean the
you're going to
trains, the
give up some.
timelines, jumping?
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So you think, I don't want to hop into a timeline where my kid's sick just to have a better job, for instance. Like
Yeah.
they must go hand in hand, and I don't believe it's like that. I don't. That's sort of the rigidity of thinking of it like a timeline. Getting off one train, I'm going to
You
get on
can go
this
to
train.
another train.
All of this is going to be better, but then this part's going to be worse on this train,
But it
and
doesn't have to be if
it
it's a
doesn't have
soup.
to be that
Because
way.
it's
No.
all in the swimming pool. It's all in the ocean.
Yeah, and it's
If it's
sort
all
of
fluid.
how it collapses into your reality.
But
You
that's
know.
still saying that all these different versions of us and reality are here
Yeah.
right now, collapsing differently, but it's all here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think dimension's good too.
Yeah.
Dimension or realm. It's just what we experience. Everything. Matrix does probably sound
A
computery.
little computery to most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's in the Bible now, the womb has been changed to matrix, which I think that's
That's
cool.
crazy.
You come in through the womb, through
That's
the
crazy.
matrix.
It says
That's
Matrix
cool.
now? Where is that?
Yeah.
Is that in the New Testament?
Where I think it was the Old Testament where I mainly saw it, but anywhere that it was womb was not. I don't know if every single spot, but the
A
word
lot of it.
womb, a lot of them it says matrix instead of womb.
I used to always call it the field because I was an early Lynn McTaggart fan
Right.
in the early 2000s.
And
So
David
yeah,
Wilcox,
Braden Wilcox.
Cock,
Wilcox, yep.
Wilcox, or
The synchronicity key, the field. So I just call it the field because I didn't know what to call everything
yeah,
besides the universe, the known universe, or the unknown universe. But I don't know. It goes beyond that, doesn't it? Because we only know this universe and this dimension,
Right.
and there's
So
more.
greater, so really greater clarity. Is that what we're wanting?
Yeah, greater clarity and understanding with peace
Yeah.
and no
And
fear.
and that
With
does away
peace.
with the fear, right? When you got the
Yeah.
calmness and the
Because then we
peace.
can add whoever said the calm and the peace, whoever that
Yep.
was. Because I
Yeah.
can't see the chat. We can add that.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome.
Okay, wake me up, guys, if you hear me start to snore. Oops. I already just knocked over my microphone. Here we go.
Oh.
That's okay. I'll calm down. Calm down.
Relax.
Relax. Thank you. I need your voice to relax me, Shane. Okay. So everybody get comfy and maybe close your eyes. Make sure you're in a safe place to do it. And just take a nice deep breath in. Hold it as long as you like and then just let it go. As you exhale, release any tension anywhere in your body. And then when you're ready, take a nice, relaxing, slow breath in. Really fill up your lungs and relax as you let it go. Relax deeper into your back muscles, your bottom muscles. Relax into the chair that's supporting you. One more deep breath in and let go of any stress on the exhale. Let it out. So now, in your mind's eye, or you can just instruct your mind if you don't physically see it as a vision, imagine going into a beautiful, safe, quiet, and sacred place. That can be a place in nature, it can be a temple, it can be a part of your home. Just imagine being in a safe, comfortable, relatively dark, quiet, sacred place. And now start to breathe in through your heart center and then exhale when you feel like it through your heart center. And continue to inhale through your heart chakra. And when you're ready, exhale through your heart. Continue to do that to entrain your mind with your heart with your mind. You can start to inhale love. Really let it fill up your entire physical body. Let it fill your mental body. Let it fill your emotional body. And exhale forgiveness. And then when you're ready, go ahead and inhale forgiveness. Let it fill you up completely. And exhale love. Now would be a good time to send a grounding cord down. It's a cord of light from your root chakra at the base of your spine. Let it go down through the building. Let it go down through the crust easily. Let it go down and down and down, all the way through all the different layers of the earth until you feel or you can see that it is at the center of the earth, which is the core of the earth and the heart. Let it spread out in all directions so you are firmly rooted, safe, protected. Now we're just going to start to imagine that about 6 inches above your head is a Merkaba, which is a kind of star. It's like two triangles in 3D placed together into a star formation. And it's spinning and it's clear, or it can be white light, or it could be a little bit golden. But it doesn't have a specific color. It's just clear, white, bright. And through that star, your soul star, star Merkaba above your head, when you're meditating, you can actually ask to connect with either God, source energy, your higher self, or the Akashic records, which are the records of all known universe, living, life, matter, the field, this realm, the matrix. It's everything. It's the history of everything. And your life and your past lives and your future lives and your contribution to this realm is completely encoded in, some say, the Akashic records, and some call it the Akashic records. And through your soul star, which is just above your head, you can gently and safely ask to access the information during a meditation now and in the future, so that you can tune in to the truth about the realm in which you find yourself asking these questions. What is it? How does it operate? Who or what created it? What is your place in it? These are just examples of some of the questions you can put forward. And when you go into silence and wait, see what comes forth in terms of gnosis. Some people get it as a download and they can see it, they get their answer that way. Other people can feel it, and some people just know it. It's a gnosis. And now that we've opened up the doorways to higher information, let us together join together in this meditation tonight and ask that we continually have access to higher information, and that higher information guides us in our daily lives here, so that we are more attuned to the reality behind the realm that we find ourselves in, so that we can adjust and change and adapt when necessary, so that we come to a fuller, deeper understanding of who we are, where we are, why we are, and where we're going to be going with this, so that we can move forward at an easy but slightly quicker pace. Let us become comfortable with our own internal gnosis, so that we recognize the information when it comes to us and we don't doubt it, and that we can interact with the field of all knowing, the Akashic records, without any fear. React, interact, access information that can help us, help our families, help our communities, help the world in a really comfortable, peaceful, relaxing, and calm way. And may this information benefit not only us in the here and the now, but may this information that we now have access to at all times, may it benefit our families, our friends, our neighbors, our co-workers, our communities. And now we ask that may this inflowing information benefit the world, the realm, the dimension, the matrix, the field that we all find ourselves in. We'll go silent for 3 minutes. And now, just before you start to open your eyes and move around and stretch your neck a little bit, just say a quick thank you to your higher self for opening up the doorway for you to have constant, steady communication with your higher self. And start to move around, stretch a little bit, and open your eyes.
Absolutely beautiful. That was peaceful.
Thank you. I didn't fall asleep during it. That's good.
I was wondering when I got to the end, I'm like, has it been 3 minutes? Uh-oh, did you fall asleep?
She could come back. Remember that one time I think I got disconnected? You guys are all like, she's gone. I never did come back.
Oh, wow. Fun times.
Yeah.
I got to get used to the light again.
Yeah, me too. But I feel really good about that one because I feel like our group, we're connected here and we are getting more connected to our higher selves. We're listening more.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and when we come together like this, it's like more magic can happen. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like we're more in the vortex or in the flow
Yeah,
of
we're
things.
like not doubling or tripling, but like quadrupling, like 100 times the power
Yeah.
that we have as individuals. Just feels so safe and so really comforting together.
Yeah. Which a lot of people need, with everything going on.
Yeah.
Well, perfect.
Cool.
All right. Well,
nice. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful job, Eileen. And let's see, I guess we'll be back next week. Nothing to report on this coming week, I guess. Nothing
We'll
just
see
yet.
what happens this coming week.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Lots of love to you guys in the chat and all of you guys watching later. And thank you so much for being here, Eileen.
Thank you, Shane. And thank you, everybody. Love you.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.